Hey, hello. For this presentation, I tried to reflect what has actually happened during these last 3 years that Friedrich exists. And it's a story from social movement with vague idea, what to do, but big idea that something has to be done, till now social temporary use agency, which is a lot of inspiration also is sitting in this room. Yeah, so 2013 when it all started, and I tried to compile this as a recipe book, let's say like 8 to 10 recipes that could be useful also in Tallinn or other cities, like to take and do something similar or a bit different. By the way, let's say not to start with me, but to start with you, how many of you think that in Tallinn there are still quite many empty spaces? Are there, yeah? Okay, I've never understood how many empty spaces are in Tallinn. I've been talking around, but you know, never can tell, as I'm not living here. But so in Riga, the situation was like that in 2013, Riga was going to be cultural capital soon. And you know, money coming into the culture, everything seemed right, except for what is the problem? What was the problem? We saw that every fifth building, nearly every fifth building is empty in the city. And at the same time, there is no space for real grassroots culture. There's like empty buildings, Riga 2014, but no space. How comes? So the logical question was, is Riga, European cultural capital, also capital of empty buildings? That was a question that was asked by a collective of people gathering actually in a similar setting like this. Goethe Institute seminar, empty spaces, people from Germany visiting, telling about the good experience of having temporary use and abandoned buildings used creatively. But people were like, from cultural centers, from contemporary art centers, thinking like, how can we do it in Riga? What's the problem? What's the problem? Why it's not happening here? So this question arose there among practitioners who were actually doing their own, some of them were doing their own empty space projects. And the answer was to provoke. So what's happening? Empty buildings, no space. Let's do something. Let's try something. And what we did is in Contemporary Arts Center, every autumn is organizing Survival Kit Festival. It's a big contemporary arts festival, which is usually taking some empty building. And in that year, the topic of the festival was slow revolution, Arab Spring, Occupy movement, and so on. And leader of this festival and us as a group, like 10, 15, 20 people, came up with this idea. Very simple. Let's make it Occupy movement in Riga by printing 5,000 stickers. So what happened? We printed the stickers and then there was a problem, what to do with them. So we had to ad hoc come up with a solution. Okay, what we did in the end was that we made a manifesto. And all these hip creative places and all these cultural institutions, they spread it in Facebook saying, hey, we have so many empty spaces, like in Riga there are hundreds of empty buildings and many of them are wonderful historical heritage, but there's no space for culture. How comes? Take stickers in our place, in our cafe there are stickers. So people suddenly, we totally didn't expect that. They burned the floor, let's say. In Facebook, this manifest was shared like up to 100,000 people saw it. Stickers were gone in the first day from all the around 20 places that they were in Riga. And suddenly it was big. You know, nobody had expected that something like this will happen, that people will really actually care. So there was problem of empty spaces in Riga and there was need to do something with it. So, So what we then, when this something worked, what we did is to make it more visible and engage people. So we started making these nice posters with Occupy Me stickers and sharing them on Facebook. We launched a map, and at that moment, this Occupy Me also had to be redefined. So Occupy Me is not a very positive term, isn't it? Like history of Eastern Europe. But it was provocative enough, you know, it reached the audience. So we jumped to the other side. Let's free Riga 2014, free 2014 capital of culture, so that we have space, free space for the culture. As you see, you know, this 2014 is kind of sticking out. It's unbalanced visually. So at some point we also chopped it off and Free Riga just became Free Riga without 2014. But this was the initial name, Free Riga 2014. And we launched a map, interactive map, where everybody could put a pinpoint if they know an empty building. So that made suddenly visible that, whoa, there are 300 empty buildings just in the city center. Currently we have around 500 empty houses in our map, and estimation is that in the city center, historical area, there are like 1,000 approximately. So soon press got it all it got into the attention of the press, and we got quite a big publicity just in like 20 days since launching the Occupy Me stickers campaign. We started gathering initiatives, people who want to do something with the free space, like asking them, what could we do and what's the offer, how could it work? Currently we have approximately 200 initiatives that are applying for the empty spaces. Then we made exhibitions and excursions around the empty spaces. Then we made maps of empty spaces, cultural map of empty spaces, and also creative spaces as such. Let's say this was a moment when to these meetings, 10s and 20s and 30s of people were coming and wanting to do something. We were approximately maybe 150 people who were doing something regarding Free Riga. It was really like a social renaissance, social movement in Riga suddenly appearing. And the last thing that we tried to do, municipality also said, hey, we also see the problem, let's try to solve it together. And we started negotiating about this space, Tallinn as 10. You know, you know, I didn't see the coincidence until I'm actually now on the stage, but this project was another lesson, fourth lesson. Let's say, if you start to do something like this, don't try to take too big a project, because, you know, working with municipality takes a lot of time. It's a big property, this old sanitary transportation base, and, you know, it's just too big to take at once. And in November of 2013, there was a crisis in Free Riga because it suddenly all collapsed. We couldn't get this property, nothing else was moving, and there was a despair. Next thing that took us out from the crisis was naming it. So what are we actually doing? And here German experience really helped us. In January 2014, we met people from Leipzig that are doing this Zwischennutzungsagentur called Haushalten. It's kind of temporary use agency. So we had a name. Oh, it's temporary use, actually. It could be a service. It could be a service to the owner because it's maintenance of the building through use. You know, they offer to maintain the building. It's something, you know, from business side. It's not just, oh, we culture one space. And at the same time, we maybe could, you know, agree with the owners and then open the space for the users. So this was the big idea at that moment. And we remembered actually that we knew some owners who had already said, when we were thinking about the big project of Tallinn 10, the smaller owner of a smaller house had said, hey, maybe let's try to do something together. So we ran the first prototype project, which is very important. Just when you get anything, try to do it. We did it. It was quite successful. We made an open call. These guys and girls, mostly girls, from Culture Academy applied, saying that they want to run events and restore a bit the building and try to... this building exactly was in Moscow Forsted, so it's a quite degraded area. So, but they wanted to do something there. So the building was slowly filling. There were cleanup events. From all the neighborhood, young cleaners and older cleaners also came and helped because they saw it, oh, there's something interesting happening for the community. Cleanup, logo of the space, these students came up with. So they were actually running it. We were just helping them as Free Riga. Events starting to happen, theater, festival, cinema, nights, every week, like 2 events. And suddenly this space which nobody would go to, it was, you know, like dogs running around, seeming empty and dangerous. Suddenly there's like one of the most famous DJs playing there. Just in a month or 2 months time of work. So we had tried out something, but still, you know, we did a lot of things wrong. Let's say we tried to organize events ourselves. We tried to, I don't know, too much talk with the government, and we did too many things. So the lesson which came as the seventh, let's say, is to have a little core team, not just a social movement, and to have very focused strategy, to understand what are we actually offering. And there again, this is part of the small team. You know, team is still big, but there are like 3-4 people who are the core and dedicated really to it. And we understood that we need to find a model. So this was the model that also comes from Germany and Switzerland. So while the house is used, it is in places. When it's not used, it can collapse, you know, after a while. So we're offering this temporary time till the house finds the new project and again goes up. We offer owners at that time to cover the expenses and to create some social good, social value for the surrounding, and also that can also bring positive value to the owner himself later in the new project. So that's first. Then we thought how to explain it to the owner. There are 3 parts. This is the owner. So we offer him that we take care for the property and we manage everything. In that sense, if owner cooperates with us, he gets the tax reduction of 90%, property tax. This is something specific to Latvia. Maybe it's something also out there in Germany and Estonia. But we, as a social benefit organization, taking the property, get some tax reduction. And then we offer the space but actually run it as a project. We set every space a name. What is the social project that has to work in this space? And together with the house guardians, as we call them, or creative initiatives, we together create this value for the city and for the owner by also keeping up the property, by preventing vandalism and doing kind of real things that owners otherwise pay money anyway. You know, they're paying for that. And if they're not paying, their property is just getting worse and worse, and there's like no point in investing in something that you will lose after a while. So it's a real deal for the owner and also a real deal for the initiatives or house guardians, because it's space for actually very little money, like €1 maybe a square meter. So this is the process. We find the space, we make an open call, we make a project for the space, and we run the space. And it's usually for 2, 3, 5, 6 years, for some time. So we have had pilot projects. This is a big hangar, which is a concert hall and event space. It's just across from the city center. It wasn't used. Owner knew that he can, you know, he could do something there creative, and maybe later he can build houses where people would like to live, not just you know, another house, but place which has a creative spirit around it. Lots of events there in last summer. This was last summer. Then the other house, this is Pushkina Street. It's a rather workshop house, and there are like 9 initiatives, artists and social organizations who are working on their issue and also making connections with the neighborhood. So these are the examples that we have had. We have had 3 spaces actually, and now we are in the talks with the owners, because this is quite fresh. This is all quite new. The social benefit status, which gives real reduction for the owner for the tax. So we're talking about another bigger house in the center, and another bigger house in the center, and there's the 3rd bigger house in the center that we are talking about with the owners. And our question is also, we also have questions. You know, it might seem that it has gone smoothly, but my personal question for you, and maybe we can share at some point, is how to find the best social use of the place, you know? Like, because if you plan it for yourself, it might be not the best what people want to do. But if you let the people do whatever they want, they will maybe just have their own offices. You know, how to make the house work for the community of the neighborhood. That's one question that we have. Another question that we have, sometimes these houses are like for 1 or 2 years accessible. Then what can be done in shorter period of time, like 1 year, for example, if you still need to heat it somehow? That's another question that kind of is of real importance to us now. So this was our story. Riga is not anymore a capital of empty buildings because more and more buildings are started to be filled. And I hope that in Tallinn the same happens with Telliskivi, with temporary use, with other ways to do it. Thank you.